Greetings and welcome to my channel. My name is Barry Naroff and I'm a professional New York State licensed psychotherapist. Also, I do a lot of spiritual intuitive work. So today the topic is going to be on a subject that I've really discussed with many people. It puzzles most. And I'll just share my understanding. And this is the topic of free will versus predestination. And the major problem is that people don't understand how both can exist simultaneously. So I will address that. First of all, one of the things that I found to be most true in the life we live is that if you want to really understand what's true and what's not, the only thing that I found to be pretty much always valid is paradox. If it's paradoxical, odds are it's true. If it's not paradoxical, then it's probably just a subjective truth. So let me talk a little bit more now about free will versus predestination. First, I'll define the terms. Free will is the sense that people have that we control our own fate. It is entirely up to us and the decisions we make as to what happens in our life. Whether we attract what we desire, whether we don't, it's entirely up to us. We make decisions based on our ego, our subconscious, but ultimately it's up to us to decide. There's no outside force pulling the strings. That's basically what free will is all about. Now, predestination, on the other hand, means that there's some sort of ultimate master plan that exists, that controls us, a blueprint, so to speak. Astrology certainly addresses this, as do most forms of divination, which basically are saying, okay, these things are written in the stars, written in the cards, whatever, and they can be discerned because the future is already decreed. That is predestination. Some people believe things are predestined for a certain number of weeks or months or years, and some people think that the entirety of life is predestined. Some believe that the minutiae, every minute by minute, it is predestined. It's predestined I would cross the street at 12:01 and not at 12. And others believe that predestination is just the broad strokes of your life. You will be financially successful at the age of 23. At 21, you're not going to have much money. You're going to get married around the age of 30, 31, not 28, not 35, etc., etc. Now, the problem is that how can you have free will and predestination coexisting simultaneously? Because one basically excludes the other. Either everything is already written, or it's not. It's up for you to write your own fate. Here's the paradox. Both are true. Now, my understanding of the subject is that in really predestination, what happens is that which is doesn't really care about the minute-to-minute effects. They don't care whether we have a bologna or a vegan sandwich for lunch today. They don't really care if we get the 802 or the 806 train, as long as there's no major trauma that would have occurred had we gotten the other train. But if it's just a regular day, a regular sandwich, a regular etc., then the universe just doesn't care. It's not important. So we control totally, voluntarily, all the little day-to-day actions of our existence. My understanding is that the universe is really only interested in the broad strokes of our life. What will our life be like? Will we find our soulmate? Will we engage in a career that is satisfying? Will we have hardship? Will we have disease? If you look at things like palmistry, all these things are recorded, and in the hands of the right person, they can be mind-bogglingly accurate. I had someone read my palm many years ago, and they accurately saw that I would have horrible allergies until a certain age, exactly when it would go away, when I would have a health episode, that it would clear up, in exactly how long. Phenomenal. And there are lots of people out there who are really good at this. I'm not one of them. But that is how predestination works. It doesn't say, you can't read someone's palm and say, tomorrow at 1:15, you're going to go down to the local coffee shop and get a tuna sandwich. No, predestination doesn't work that way. So the broad strokes are predestined. Now the question is, okay, so how much leeway do we actually have within predestination? And how much free will do we actually have in our life? Well, besides for all the small details of life, predestination assumes that the life we're born into, the culture, the patterns, the belief systems, everything else will basically stay the same. Not necessarily so. If we make major changes to our life, if we release a lot of what we're holding on to, step into an entirely new reality, a new belief system, yes, to a certain extent, it will be predetermined that you will do this. But some of the concrete events that can be predicted are not necessarily going to happen. Other events will happen. Predestination is mutable. It's not fixed. By that I mean, yes, the general pattern of one's life is fated, foretold. But if we change in a very significant way, that which is laid out for us also changes. I believe that when people are born, there are innumerable sort of maps of the direction a life can go. And there's the map that is most likely, and then there are other variations depending upon what happens. Yes, if we're going to get into a major car accident, become paralyzed at the age of 53, that's most likely going to be predestined and you'll be able to read it. But because you read it doesn't mean you can't avoid it. You can not get into a car. You could be very careful crossing the street. There are many things that you can do which then changes the future. However, most people sleepwalk through life. They're on autopilot. And if you're on autopilot, you're not really changing anything significant. And unfortunately, that's the vast, vast majority of individuals across the globe. They have a habit and they just do their habit. They wake up at a certain time, they eat breakfast, they do their morning routine, they go to work, or they don't go to work. Everything is basically habitual. Everything can be predicted. So not predicted as in future telling or predestination, but just it's predictable. Look, at 6:08, This person's going to go into the store and get a cup of coffee because they do it every day, and this is what they order. So most people tend to lead these types of lives, and people who lead lives based on habit, who sleepwalk, who don't really step into life with vivacity, with a sense of courage, and I'm going to take the challenge of the day and make something special out of it. Whatever is predestined for them, odds are, will happen unscheduled. So this is where free will comes in, because we have the choice to step out of our habituated patterns, to really vary and not do the same routine all the time, to instead of walk the same route, drive the same route, buy the same products, decide, oh my God, I can go it a different way. I can buy something entirely different. There's this brand I've never tried. Let me try that. Minor, but it disrupts the habitual ways of acting. And as such, predestination becomes more and more fluid. And in my perspective, the object of life is to take as much as possible out of routine and out of habit and put it into choice, volition, the ability to decide, okay, how is my day going to be? It doesn't have to be, okay, I go in, I get this done, this happens. No, it doesn't have to be that. It can be something unique and something special if we choose to make it. Now, of course, most people have jobs that are fairly routinized, and as such, there's just so much variation. So in what you do concretely, there's just so much you can change. But how you perceive it, what you do with your own mental processes, the mood that you tend to go into when you do this, the way you view yourself, entirely up to your own control. And that's free will. So yes, predestination is true, free will is true, they do coexist, and it's paradox. Now, there's just one thing I'd like to add. With a particular client I work with, she likes to contact the fates. Now, I use the old Greek symbolism of the three fates, weaving the future, which is, I guess, as good an analogy as anything else. But it's changeable. Depending upon where you are, that's what the fates weave. And if you make a significant shift, the fates can unweave and weave something else. And everybody has this cloth of their life that's constantly being woven. So yes, it is predestined, but it's changeable. I don't know how true this is, but certainly works for this individual. So maybe it's true for everyone, or maybe it's not. I don't know. Do you? Okay, so thank you. I hope this has been informative. I've gotten into many discussions on the subject where people say, how can they both be true? Some religions talk about the necessity of predestination. Others talk about the necessity of free will. Both are quite firm that they're correct. How can they both be right? Paradox. All right, so thanks. My name is Barry Naroff. I have a webpage called Birthright Therapy. If you want to contact me directly, you can write me at barry@birthrighttherapy.com. You can put a comment in the comment section if there's any particular subject you'd like to hear a talk on. And please, if you like what you hear, subscribe. And right next to this subscription tab, there's a little bell icon. Click it, and you'll be notified when new postings occur. So, until the next time, goodbye.